We're almost done with page 1087, but not quite. Let's talk about page 38 and 40. They throw some tricky ones at us here. This time there's no numbers that we're plugging in, and we're not actually solving to get a number. Now this type of equation and solving, manipulating it to solve for one variable is something that you will do a lot when you get to chemistry and physics, physical science, in especially 10th, 11th, 12th grade. So we're just going to kind of get our toes in the water, all right? Just kind of get a little bit familiar with how to do this and just touch on it now, come back to it later, and because you've been introduced to it, it'll seem easier later, okay? But right now it's going to seem pretty weird. So because we're used to solving in math and getting a number, and we're not going to get that here. So this equation, I equals PRT, that's for calculating interest, okay? So if you took money to the bank, for instance, let's say you took $100 to the bank and their interest was 5%, that would be awesome, okay? And the time is in years. So let's say you put your money in for 1 year. So you would take 100 times 0.05 and then times 1. So you would earn $5 in interest for that $100. If you changed the t to 3, 3 years, put the money $100 in at 5% interest for 3 years, then you would have earned $15, okay? Anyways, that's what the formula means. Don't worry about that. All we're doing is trying to solve to find the value r, to find the number or the variable r. So we're kind of reworking it to make a new equation using the same letters, just rearranging it. Well, I want to solve for r, so I want to leave that one by itself. So what do I need to do? I need to divide by p to get that to cancel. So I need to divide this side by p, okay? Then I need to divide by t to get t to cancel, and so I divide that side by t. So the answer is basically this right here. We started with I. We had to divide both sides of the equation by p and t, and that left r over here by itself. And so the answer would be I over pt, okay? Does that make sense? Let's look at this one with volume. Volume is 3 things: length times width times height. They want us to solve, in this case, for width, all right? If I was solving for width, then again, I would say, all right, I got 2 sides of the equation. I want to solve for width, so I'm going to circle that. That's going to stay there. I need to divide by the length to get that to cancel. So I'm going to divide this side by the length. I like to make it look like an L, all right? Divide by h to get h to cancel. Divide this side by h. Okay, pretty easy. So this actually is your answer right here. We just use the same letters, rearrange them in order to, instead of solving for V, solve for W. These are in the next section, okay? I think page 40 or 41 or something, and they look a little more complicated. Let's take this, 1/3 the base times the height. I think that's the volume of a cone. Something like that. All right. So to find the height, because I have this fraction, 1/3, let's talk about what we have to do to get rid of the 1/3. I have to multiply both sides by 3, okay? Because 3 times 1/3 becomes 3 over 3. 3 over 3 is 1, okay? So basically I've canceled it out. So I'm going to simplify it this way and say I have BH equals 3V. And then the last step, if I'm solving for H, is I need to get rid of the B, so I divide, because this means B times H. So we undo multiplication with division, and we do the same thing on the other side. And now I have isolated H. H equals, ta-da, there we go. One last one, let's look at this. This looks complicated because we have a pie in there. Pie, I love pie. Pumpkin pie, lots of whipped cream. R squared, okay? But we're not really solving it, we're just trying to isolate h by itself. So I always like to circle the one I'm solving for, draw a line through the equals, and say, all right, I need to get rid of the pie, so I'm going to eat it. Shoo! And eat the pie on this side, all right? Get rid of the r squared on this side, and so I have to do the same thing on the other side. Do the same thing on both sides of the equation. Here it cancels out, so that leaves me with just h equals, and then we would write the v over pi r squared. Easy, all right? Hopefully helping you with those couple of really tough ones will get you over a hump, and you can finish the rest of these types of problems.